Building a team. Building a team. You know, in our business, we talk a lot about selling insurance. Yes, that's the immediate income, but we also talk about building a team. That's hiring other agents, teaching them how to make money, and the insurance companies compensating you for that. But you know what else? Like, building a team is a life skill. It's not just specific to our industry and to our business. It is a life skill. Whether you're working a corporate job and you've got people looking to you for leadership, or maybe you're in a corporate job and nobody looks to you for leadership, you can still build a team. Maybe you're trying to lead your kid and how they can lead their sports team. There are principles that are principles no matter where you go that always work. And that's what I want to cover today. In talking about this, this is not a specific list that I pulled from a certain book. So I don't have a certain book to refer you to word for word. Now, I will say this, that when I go and study leadership, you start with John Maxwell. He is the world's foremost authority on leadership. And so without a doubt, the teaching today is heavily influenced by John Maxwell, but probably by another half a dozen authors as well and speakers. Just putting some thoughts together for you today and want to share them with you. So we'll start off. A friend of mine was a professor down at SMU's business school, Cox School of Business at SMU, asked me to come in and speak, and he said, I want you to talk about building a unified culture among a team of wildly independent, individually compensated mercenaries. It's like, you're too smart for me, man. But that's kind of what we do in our business, and that's really sort of what building a team is like no matter where you are. A unified culture among a team of wildly independent. Our business attracts independent people. Individually compensated by the insurance companies. Mercenaries, meaning you can go anywhere and get paid. How do we do that? How do we build that? Well, let's talk about that. Start off, you got to grow as a leader. If you're going to build a team, you set the pace by building you. You can't build a team without building you, so you got to grow as a leader. Leadership ability is the lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness, and leadership develops daily, not in a day. You need to be committed to a routine, a habit of developing yourself as a leader. Maybe it's reading 15 minutes a day. And listen, I understand reading 15 minutes doesn't seem like it makes that big of an impact until you're a year down the road and you go, wow, I read 12 books this year. That's all 15 minutes a day is reading 12 books a year. It just boils down to that. And before you know it, you've done it for 10 years. That's 120 books. Maybe then you start getting in the habit and 15 minutes turns into 30, turns into 45, turns into an hour. You stop watching Netflix binges and instead you're reading. And I'm not saying Netflix is bad, but if you want to grow as a leader, I'm saying you got to have a steady diet of it. Maybe you pay money and go to conferences and learn from other leaders. Maybe you get around other leaders. Maybe you spend time around mentors. But you have to do this, and it's not something that's going to be fixed in a day. It is something that you perpetually have to work on, this lid that determines a person's level of effectiveness. John Maxwell always talks about in terms of assigning a number to it. Let's say you're a level 6 leader. I know we've talked about the 5 levels of leadership. This is not the same, but let's say your lid is at a 6. You're not going to be able to lead 7s and 8s. If you're building your team and you're looking around right now, listen, your team is at your level or below, or they're not looking to you for leadership. They're going to look to somebody else. So the team that you're building is going to be, the caliber of people on your team is going to be limited by your lid based on your own growth. Tough pill to swallow. Become disciplined. Challenge your excuses. Remove rewards until the job is done. Stay focused on the process and measure the results. Become disciplined. I feel like I'm a very disciplined person, at the same time, wildly undisciplined. What I mean by that is I have areas of my life where I am actually very disciplined. I got other areas of my life where I struggle with it, just like anybody else. And listen, as I'm saying this to you today, I feel like there are things that I don't challenge, that I do challenge my excuses, and I feel like there's things I'm doing that I don't challenge my excuses. This morning I got up. I work out in my garage. It's where I exercise. And this morning happened to be particularly cold. And I was like, I don't want to work out in the garage this morning. So I didn't even work out. That's an area I'm not necessarily disciplined in. This morning I was like, it's just too cold. I didn't challenge my excuse. I failed, and I succumbed to that excuse. Remove rewards until the job is done. Look, set up a system of rewards for yourself that when you get the job done, you get this. And listen, if you're trying to lose weight, the reward is not eating a Twinkie. It needs to be appropriate, right? Maybe it's you get to go buy that shirt you've been looking at, or maybe it's something, I don't know, and stay focused on the process, but measure the results. Don't stay focused on the results. The results will drive you crazy. The results aren't going to be there initially. Anybody who's ever tried to lose weight knows this. And that's just the easiest thing to think of, because most of us struggle with this, right? But if you try to lose 15 pounds and you eat right for a day and you're like, how did I go up a half pound? Anybody else? Am I the only one? I'm the only one? Okay. So no, we all deal with that. Quit focusing on the results and instead just measure them, but focus on the process. The right process will get you where you're trying to go. Develop trust. Trust is the foundation of leadership. 3 main words here: competence, connection, and character. Your team, anytime you do something to break trust, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it affects your ability to lead. If you break the trust of your spouse, it takes time to build that trust back. It doesn't come back immediately. You can spend years building trust and in a second lose it. And now you're not leading anymore. Competence, that's knowing what you're talking about. Connection is being connected with others who can help you get where you're trying to go, and people trust that you're connected to that source, right? And then character, doing what you say you're going to do. Yes is yes and no is no. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Just character. Show some character. Character is who you are when no one's looking. Character is who you are when no one's looking. Cast vision. Vision, this is straight up. This is straight up from John Maxwell. I can see it in the writing. Vision starts within. Starts here. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Vision starts in here. Vision draws on your history. You know, I want to be the first person in my family to go to college. I want to be the first person in my family to make a 6-figure income. I want to be the first person in my family to make $1 million. I want to be the first person in my family to own my own house. I want to be the first person in my family to own my own car. What is it? Something, your vision is drawing upon your history. Vision meets others' needs. If your vision doesn't meet someone else's need, it's going to fall flat because nobody's going to surround you to help you. Vision helps you gather resources. When you put the vision out there of where you go or where you're going, what comes around you is the resource you need to get there. But again, if nobody knows where you're going, nobody can offer the support. One of the things I feel like I'm bad at is being able to anticipate what somebody needs that's going through something I've never gone through. I say that to friends all the time who are going through things that I've not gone through. Listen, I am here to support you. If you'll just let me know how I can support you, I will. But I can't do it if you don't tell me, right? I got to have the vision. Vision comes from the inner voice, the unhappy voice, the successful voice, the higher voice. Leadership is influence. Followers in voluntary organizations cannot be forced to get on board. If the leader has no influence with them, then they won't follow. Followers in voluntary organizations cannot be forced to get on board. If the leader has no influence with them, then they won't follow. Think about that for a second. You know, an example of voluntary organizations like a church or a civic organization or a business leading 1099 entrepreneurs. Right? Those are all voluntary organizations. If the leader has no influence, how do I gain influence with those people? Look at the 5 levels of leadership teaching that we do, that John Maxwell teaches. It's not a simple thing, but one thing you can do is go do. And when you go do, people are influenced by that. Or you could be an 8-year-old YouTuber making $26 million. That's also influence. Anyway, real leadership is being the person others will gladly and confidently follow. Real leadership is being the person others will gladly and confidently follow. Don't confuse leadership is influence with leadership is coercion. Leadership is blackmail. Leadership is bribery. Those aren't positive things. Leadership is influence, and leadership is influence speaks to the positive outcome that you're trying to help people get to, and they know it and they want it. right? So real leadership is being the person others will gladly and confidently follow, not because they have to, but because they want to. Extend your influence. The act of empowering others changes lives. Extend your influence. The measure of a leader is not what the leader accomplishes. The measure of a leader is how their leadership extends beyond them. The legacy of their leadership. I love seeing the family tree of successful coaches. Well, this successful coach had these 4 coaches on their assistant staff, and those 4 coaches went on to do this and this and this. I love seeing that, because what it says to me is that initial coach wasn't just successful himself or herself, but instead extended that success to others who were willing to take up the mantle and take up the challenge and take up the charge. It is a weak leader that is intimidated by strong leaders that are following them. A weak leader is intimidated by strong leaders that follow. Don't be that weak leader. If you are a strong leader and you have a stronger leader coming up behind you and rising up, listen, that's a measure of your leadership. It's a measure of your influence when that person succeeds past where you succeeded. As a parenting philosophy, one thing I think is this. I had to go through all of this to get here, and my kids get to launch from there. I don't want them to have to go through all of this too. Well, the kids learn good lessons by mowing yards. Maybe. But if they can learn those lessons because I already know them, then they don't have to waste time mowing yards. I did it. Now they can launch from there. Does that make sense? Make your leadership last. Lead the organization with a long view. It's not about how does this impact the organization today. It's not about that only. It's about how does this impact the organization in a month, in a year, in 10 years, in 20 years, 100 years from now. What is the impact? You've got to think long-term as a leader, not how does this impact my today, right? It can't only be that. It's got to be long-term. Create a leadership culture. We talk a lot about that, but the culture is leadership. Leadership is influence. And so it's about doing the right thing when you're supposed to do the right thing. Create a culture of that. And what you'll find is you will start raising up leaders without even trying. The culture does it for you. Pay the price today. Sacrifice to assure success tomorrow. I don't want to read today. Well, 15 minutes reading today impacts your tomorrow. It impacts your level of effectiveness with a new agent tomorrow or a new follower tomorrow, somebody new to the team. It's because you read something on the book yesterday and it just took you 15 minutes of sacrifice. We're not talking years and years and years. Value team leadership above individual leadership. You know, the old saying is there's no I in team. There's no we either, right? I mean, I've heard all those sayings before, but one of the things I love, I'm a Michael Jordan fan, okay? Grew up a Michael Jordan fan, and everybody today, a lot of people want to talk about, is he the greatest or is LeBron the greatest? Well, here's how you know who's the greatest. One of them is wearing the jersey with the other one's logo. Michael Jordan's the greatest, my opinion. It's just opinion. But one of the things I loved about Michael Jordan, and if you watch any of the documentaries out there about him, what you'll see is he made everyone else around him better. What he learned early on in his professional career, Michael Jordan realized that he cannot consistently beat other teams when he's playing 1-on-5. Maybe once in a while he could, but not consistently. Certainly not going to win championships. The only way he was ever going to win all the championships he won was to get everybody around him better. Not just him. He couldn't be the only one. Everybody else had to get better for the win for the team to win championships, and he knew that. Walk away from the organization with integrity. That's a John Maxwell quote, but it's kind of like you can, if you're with us, you can build up your agency and sell it to a company called Integrity and become a managing partner with them. So it's actually kind of got a double entendre there. But walk away from the organization with integrity. What this is saying is, listen, I'm not saying that, I'm not quitting. You said that. Are you leaving? No. No. But one day I'm going to cease to exist. Right? One day I'm going to die too. It's happening to everybody. When that happens, am I able to leave the organization, be it my business or my family? Am I going to have any regrets? Am I going to be on my deathbed wishing I had? I think it's probably natural to have some of that. But I want to finish the game just like when I was a kid. I don't know who else played the game like this. When I was a kid playing soccer, I came off the field and I just had to lay on the side of the field for 15 minutes because I just gave everything I had. My face was splotchety red. I was just exhausted. They were pouring water on me just trying to revive me. That's how I want to live my life. So at the end of it, I can say, I did all I could. I did everything I could. And I feel good about that. So when the time comes that you are no longer there, be able to do so with integrity. You did the right thing for the right reasons at the right time. That's a big deal. Just some thoughts on building a team. So much of building a team comes to building that culture, and that just is not something that happens overnight. It's something you got to stay diligent at. I would encourage you to stay true to who you are, but at the same time, don't stay who you are. Get better, right? Anyway, hope that helps. If I can help you, if you got questions, if you got thoughts, happy to hear from you. Let me know. We'll talk soon.